You are listening to Hello Talent.
Hello, talent. This is Frank.
And I'm Mac.
Hello, I'm Furusawa.
Hello, talent. I'm Jamie. I'm Sarah.
Hello, talent. I'm Nora.
I'm Akane.
You are listening to Hello Talent.
Hello, talent.
Hello, talent. Enjoy.
You're listening to
Hello, talent.
So, as Japan continues to globalize, how important is it for Japanese companies to integrate foreign workers into their operations? And are there specific strategies that companies employ to successfully integrate foreign talents?
Okay. As I mentioned in my lecture in the morning today, diversity and inclusion is very, very important. And in addition, in terms of global operations, normative integration and systems integration in international human resource management is required. Normative integration means the sharing of corporate philosophy worldwide in order to build up trust with local employees beyond the differences of national cultures. On the other hand, systems integration means globally integrated human resource management system to promote globally optimized utilization of human resources. In my survey, Japanese multinationals lag behind their Western counterparts in both normative integration and systems integration. So, Japanese companies should work on both of them. That's my answer.
Okay.
It's okay with you?
Yes, thank you. And in your opinion, what are the key opportunities and challenges for French European companies when expanding to Japan? Or do you have an example of a French or European company that have successfully navigated through these challenges, and how did they manage to?
Okay. I think the balancing of local responsiveness and global integration is very important for multinational enterprises. In that sense, I think European multinationals are paying much attention to the balance of local responsiveness and global integration. On the other hand, I think US multinationals are getting more centralized these days. I think the excessive centralization is liable to reduce the vitality and motivation of overseas subsidiaries. So you have to be careful with this point. I think the balancing of local responsiveness and global integration is very, very important. And I think Nestle, Nestle, Swiss company, Nestle, yes, is one of the most successful European companies in Japan. Their balance of local responsiveness and global integration is very, very, very good. Nestle is well-balanced company in Japan. So that's why they have many Japan-originated innovations. I think this is because of their well-balance of local responsiveness and global integration. That's my answer to your second question.
Do you have some key strategies or advice you would have for foreign workers looking to work in Japan, especially those who may be navigating through cultural challenges?
As I said in the lecture, many Japanese large companies attach significant importance to the Japaneseness of international students during recruitment process. In concrete, a high level of Japanese language proficiency and a Japanized way of thinking and behavior are required. But I think in the case, Japanese companies put too much importance on Japaneseness, they might lose the benefit of diversity. Therefore, Japanese companies should change their mindset and behavior. On the other hand, international students should understand and accept the reality if they really want to enter Japanese companies. And I can point out two problems about the behavior of international students in Japan. Firstly, they do not attend the program sponsored by career centers. Do you understand career centers? It's a section of university to assist your recruitment or finding a job. Career center. They do not attend the program sponsored by career centers of their universities. The second problem is they do not interact with Japanese students. They interact mainly with international students from the same countries, from their home countries, I mean. That's why they cannot get the useful information or skills to get a job in Japan.
日本における職業選択は非常に多様である一方で、台湾では理工系の学問が重視される傾向が見られる。このような現象について、古澤先生はどのようにお考えでしょうか。また将来的に日本と台湾における職業選択の傾向が変化する可能性について、先生の考えをお聞かせいただけますか。
Okay, good Japanese. I think the focus on science and engineering field is good. And in Japan, we are also moving in the same direction. But more importantly, interdisciplinary thinking is required to contribute to our society or to provide solutions to our society. One discipline cannot provide solutions because our current social problems are getting more complicated. So interdisciplinary thinking is very, very important. It's okay with you?
OK。先生は日本語で話してもいいです。
Oh,
次は、かつては人々の安定した職場環境を好み、一つの職業に長く進める傾向がありましたが、このような考え方は現在や将来においても採用されると、古澤先生の考えはどうですか？
I think the respect for diverse work style is important. In Japan, at least recently, the mobility of workforce has been very low due to the lifetime employment and what we call as I said earlier, membership style employment. Under such system, internal labor market is more important than external labor market. But some Japanese companies are changing into job-based employment system these days. Therefore, labor market might get more mobile and the diverse work style would be more appreciated. under the job employment system, Japanese company should pay much attention to engagement. You understand engagement and retention of capable employees, because war for talent is very severe, and there is no CS. You understand CS, customer satisfaction, without ES, employee satisfaction. Employee satisfaction comes first before customer satisfaction.
古澤先生は、本国にある外資企業で働くことと、本国企業から海外に住むの企業にはどのような違いがあると考えでしょうか。
Both are valuable. Both are valuable. But I think the latter is more valuable because living in a foreign country is essential experience to nurture global perspectives. In that sense, working holiday is also a good opportunity for you to nurture global perspective.
あるドラマは、東京女子図鑑では日本にある隠れた階段の問題があると振られていますが、これは本当にあることですか。また他の国は同じ状況があるでしょうか。先生はこのような隠れた階段が壊れることはあるとお考えでしょうか。
Okay. Income divide is getting larger these days in Japan. In 1970s, 90% of Japanese people believe they belong to the middle class. Now, more than 50% says they are no more middle class, which means below the middle class. One of the reasons for that is the rapid increase of non-regular employees. Japanese companies have been increasing the number of non-regular employees to reduce personnel expenses for decades. Now, non-regular employees account for 37% of total labor force. In Japanese, 所得格差ね、is 非常に大きくなってます、最近。日本では所得格差がどんどん拡大しています。70年代はね、日本人の 90% は自分は中流階級に属しているというふうに、思ってました。しかし今は、50% 以上の人が自分はもはや中流階級ではない、中流よりも下なんだというふうに今は感じているということです。で、その理由の一つは非正規社員が急速に日本では増えているということ、それが挙げられるというふうに思います。で、この何十年間ね、日本企業というのは人件費を削減するために非正規社員をどんどん増やしてきました。で、今どうかっていうと 37%、 日本の労働者、働く人のもう 37%、 3人に1人以上が非正規社員と言われる時代になってます。で、これがですね、日本における所得格差を生んでいる一つの大きな原因であるというふうにご理解いただければと思います。以上ですけども、理解できましたか？
先生は台湾の学生と日本の学生の違いが何とあるかと思いますか？
台湾の学生非常に熱心ですね。 非常によく勉強されるというふうに思います。また一生懸命勉強しないとね、一生懸命勉強しないといい職業に就けないということで、よく勉強されているというふうに思います。で、日本はね、新卒一括採用ってわかるかな、新卒一括採用というのをずっと続けてますんで、その労働市場の中のね、競争 The competition in labor market is with your colleagues or your friends だから、新卒労働市場の中の競争っていうのは自分と同じ大学4年生との競争なんです。だから、何かの経験を持ってるとか特別なスキルを持ってるだとか、そういうのはあまり必要とされてません。その意味でね、日本の大学4年生の就職率っていうのは 95% 以上です。95% 以上ですから、仕事を見つける、大学生が仕事を見つけるっていうのはそれほど難しくないというのが日本の状況です。For university student, it's not so difficult to get a job in Japan. So that's why they do not study so hard in Japan. That's a, I think, huge difference between Taiwan and Japanese students.
日本には大きな企業が台湾よりたくさんあります。でも、台湾は学歴が重視されている。でも、どうして日本は台湾より重視されていないですか？
学歴がね、重視されていないということはないんです。やはり大学卒業という学位、これは非常に重要です。しかし、これはね、大学間の格差、これがものすごく日本では重要です。だからあなたが何を勉強したかというよりも、どこの大学を卒業したかがより重要なのが日本であるということです。So in order for you to find a job in Japan, what you study, the more important thing is where do you graduate from is more important than what you study at the university. So 大学のランク is very, very important.
Thank you. So do you think that in order to get a job in Japan, do we have more opportunity if we graduate from a very high ranked university in a foreign country like United States, or do we have more opportunity by graduating in a local Japanese university?
If you want to, for example, US company or European company, you will be likely to enter those companies if you are from really good universities. But I think these days, Japanese university students are getting more conservative. So, I think finding a job or entering US affiliated or European affiliated Western companies is kind of risky because the employment is not so stable. So if you are from good university or excellent university, you might get more chances to find a job in US or European Western companies. But I cannot say many university students are hoping to work for those companies because it's kind of risky. Japanese companies are more stable in terms of employment. You will not be fired so easily by Japanese companies.
So if a woman is hired in a Japanese company, is she gonna get paid more or less depending if, for example, is she married because she's expected to get pregnant maybe?
Yeah, at least in terms of regulation or rules or law, there's no discrimination or no disadvantage to female employees. But actually, they are having difficulties to balance their private life and working life. So company should be more careful about the situation female employees face during her pregnancy or during her maybe due to their wedding. So that's a problem, and I think the Japanese company should pay more attention to that point.
Okay, thank you for your answer.